All right, 351 NRO 351 UDX 15117. Some of you know what I'm doing, most of you don't. We'll see how that works. This is a test fit. So I got my new trailer. Supposed to be running Denver to Albuquerque and back here twice a week. These were on the truck when we got it a little over a year ago, load lock deals, but I didn't have load locks on here. So let me get up here. Factory mounts, which actually work. There's dual coax running back here to these. And they had some 4-footers on here, little cheapy Pro Talk or something antennas. But on sideband, I've talked to 01 Kate in, is it Canterbury, England, with this antenna set up and 40 watts. So what I don't like is, well, what I do like is this is aluminum, this is composite, fiberglass, right? Non-conductive. Maybe there's some metallic in the paint. On some of the earlier trucks on the inside, they ran insulation and they ran a small thin foil. Why, I don't know. And they would ground the foil to the cab, some sort of shielding of some sort. Lost the plug here, not really sure. I don't see any foil and see some dirty insulation. I need to find a plug for that. But anyways, I haven't opened these up to see how they have them mounted, how the coax is or anything. It could be just PL259s, which would be nice. But what had happened was I put these load locks on, and you see what's going on here. Those are 5.5 foot Francis and Mazers. That one's been cut. I've had this thing for years. That one. This one's brand new. It's never been cut, and it peeks up over the little air deflector foil thing, extension, whatever you want to call it. And it's not too bad. I know why they have those brackets. Those brackets are steel, but they have a rubber O-ring, and then they're screwed to the composite or fiberglass. So I don't know if that's causing a problem, because Francis's are top loaded, right? So clearly above that strut or stabilizer, whatever you want to call it, bracket or whatever, is probably about where the load is on a Francis. I think I've seen a couple hit the bridge and fan out, and they got real thin coil wire all the way to the top of a Francis. So that's probably not hurting it. This bar is pretty loose. It's like a strut or a torsion bar. So you only got one bolt going through the plastic and into the aluminum back, and then it's S-ed out away. So you get a heavy antenna. This is just barely on here. So just saying, you know. This is a real thick stainless steel bracket. I like it a lot. This bracket down here on the bottom, because I couldn't find the back of this one, or, well, this one doesn't have a back. This is a Peterbilt antenna bracket. Goes on the back of the aluminum of the sleeper. Would go right here along with the rivet line, I assume. This one here. I thought about mounting it to here. That there's no support there. It's pretty thin, and this is aluminum. Below, I don't know if the camera will pick it up. There's one there. There's one there. There's some spot welds or something. I don't know. Maybe this is steel. Thin steel if it is. But anyway, there's like 4 spot welds here. Nothing here. 4 spot welds here. You can see that. Maybe it is steel. I haven't got a mat. Well, let's see. Oh, my bad. That's steel. Even better. I got a magnet on my phone. Either here nor there. But I thought about taking the Peterbilt bracket, even when I thought this was aluminum. And right about, let's see, the A on international right in here, and just riveting at that. I still may do that. I am 14.9 with that antenna. The premise of this 54-inch Hustler baby, Hustler 54-inch aluminum tube with stainless steel threaded fittings on each end. Somebody explained to me this is quarter wave for 6 meter, which allowed Hustler to, you can run, that's the 11 meter load, you put a resonator, put a 10 meter resonator, 75 meter resonator, you put whatever resonator for the band you want to work on. This 454-inch solid shaft. And Hustler's pretty narrow banded, but we'll see how that goes. But that's the 11 meter one. I do have the 10 meter S, the big fat one. I bought a used one. I got some questions about high Q. These are high Q antennas. Don't know how to explain high Q, but they're narrow banded and focus energy on the frequency they're intended for. That's about all I know. But anyways, I want to drill a hole in the airfoil and put a large grommet. Keep this thing from rocking around. I mean, it's just barely on there right now. Like I said, we're just doing test fit. But like I said, this bar moves around too much. Don't like it. This antenna's kind of heavy, plus the wind catching the top back there or up there, leaning that back. Now that I've measured it out before I even hit record, I'm actually thinking about bringing it down a few inches right in here, like mounting the plate right here, which would put me at like 14.5 height. Can't be over 13.7, 13.8 going through Eisenhower Tunnel, or you trip the laser, they pull you over and make you go over Loveland Pass. So I don't want to do that. But drill a hole, grommet, should be able to unscrew this antenna, slide it out, stick a 4-foot, I think I got a 4-foot Francis around here somewhere. If I'm going to Grand Junction, I just need to remember to do it before I go there. But running north and south, I see, I have a lot of trees in between Pueblo and Albuquerque, New Mexico, so no low bridges or anything. That should work really, really well. I did bring my little pigtail with PL 259. I was going to say SO 239, but PL 259 to put on here. And run the Nano VNA, but I don't want to test it on this bar. So thin stainless steel bar, just it moves around too much. So now that I found out this is steel, I think I'm going to pick up some stainless steel rivets and mount the Peterbilt mount. There's one hole, there's a hole in the center, three holes. And now that I know this is steel now, I'll remove the paint and try and get as much of this steel bracket here to ground bond onto that. That's pretty cool. I always thought it was aluminum. Learn something new every day. Well, that scratches this out because I doing what I do. Some people clean their garage out and we pick up their donations. And I found this bracket, gusseted but not welded. I don't know what the hole was for, but I mean, drilling some holes and running some rivets, that would definitely do some ground bonding, and it don't flex. So that was my next step. But now that I know that steel, I cannot get into the interior wall. I can, but I don't want to tear up the sleeper interior. There's a big plastic decorative piece on the inside. I'm sure there's insulation between it and plastic. And me and plastic don't get along, so I don't want to break a bunch of fasteners to get to that wall. But now that I know it's I'd like to put a reinforcement plate on the back, but I don't think with that antenna being a few inches lower as I'm making decisions here, making a video, I know it's crooked. Settle down. I know who's going to be like, bro, that's crooked. It's test fit. But all that energy is going to be off that load, coming off that load in that stinger. That's what I want. The Francis and Mazers do good, but when I put those load locks on there, I went from a 1.01 at 50 ohms, 50 ohms on channel 20 to like 1.5 to 1.7 at like 58 ohms when I put those load locks on there. So, you know, it's running right next to that left antenna. Not the end of the world. It's functionable. I've talked to EX all over the country with it. Talked to Washington State trip before last week or 2 weeks ago. Not last week, but the week before. Hit me a solid 9. I mean, obviously it was conditions, but I was on I-25 around Las Vegas, New Mexico, talking to that guy with the Francis and the load locks on there. But yeah, bringing back some old school UPS, FedEx, Yellow Freight. A lot of you day cab guys that ran line haul used to mount your, well, they had beefier three-way crossbars. Vice grip mount and a Francis up there. 5.5 foot Wilson top load or something. Incognito for sure. Running about 200 watts or so, 100, 150, 200 watts. You could talk 50, 60 miles anywhere you wanted to. Most of those drivers are dead and retired now. I don't hardly see a setup on a lot of those freight deals, freight trucks, line haul guys. That's probably what it'll wind up being. Somewhere I'd like to get into that cross member. That would be nice. I'm gonna do rivets though. I'm gonna drill through it and do rivets instead of like sheet metal screws, because the truck and vibration and all that stuff, you need it solid. So I'll have to pick up some stainless steel rivets or something. But yeah, that's probably the real world setup right there. I know it's crooked. If 390's watching, he'll be like, bro, you're driving me nuts. That's crooked. There we go. Let me hold the phone just like that. But yeah, all that, that'll work. And then I haul dry van, so there's actually zero effects as far as antenna tune goes. I'm sure it skews the pattern, you know. I don't know if that's a fair assessment with this trailer parked next to my truck, but they're about even with that airfoil. And there's probably about actually it sits right even with that mud flap splash guard deal. So you got about, I'd say, 4 feet between there and the cab. So the trailer roof line's about 4 foot away. But the old rule of thumb was to get the top load of your antenna peaking above the trailer, and you could do pretty good behind you as well, to the sides and forward. But I tuned this on top of the Exploder yesterday, and it's just, I don't know, man. You guys running those air coil Predator 10Ks and all that stuff. So many so many headaches trying to put a roof mount style antenna on the back of a truck or on mirrors or whatever. Here was my other option. Was I saw a new Peterbilt a couple of months ago, and then we have a box truck, or not a box truck, a day cab, LT. I don't know if I can, but down in here there's a cowling. It captures water, and they drilled a hole through it, and they put his AM/FM antenna. I don't know if you can see inside there. I can see there's the door hinge bolt, so right about here is the firewall of the truck, and on the passenger side it is they mounted his AM/FM antenna and then put a grommet which would put the antenna, could probably almost run a 102-inch whip, so it would be something like that. And then you had a grommet there which would give it a little bit of support and stick up there. I know somebody's going to be like, mount it on the mirror. Well, there's no there's no mirror mount on this. I mean, there might be. International did run some on the tops of the mirrors, but this one don't have that. But that was my other option too. That would have been an easy deal, but it doesn't look cool. It looks weird. And then for a short spout, which would have worked as well, I had to wait until I got this bumper guard. I had a lady cut me off. She was making a left turn into construction, and then some guy was coming down a hill in the construction zone at like 80 miles an hour, and she turned back into me and folded up the cheap Chinesium one, not this one, folded up the brush guard or whatever you want to call it, and broke the plastic support in here, and they never fixed that. The skin's all scuffed up. So they got this one, which is pretty stout. Unfortunately, I didn't take it apart to paint it because it's safety orange, and my shop decided to undercoat it black, but they took it apart. These migrate back, and then this becomes unlatched, and then pull into the yard, and she's 45 degrees forward, and I never even heard a thing. So that's why the blue bungee cord's on here, to keep a little bit of tension. But anyways, these go into the frame horn, right? So good ground. I'm the one that installed these and figured out how it goes. Two big old fat studs and nuts, and I thought, well, 1/4-inch angle plate right here, and then come up and forward and just run a 102-inch whip on the front of the truck. Plastic with chrome, composite, plastic. There may be some metal inside here. Plastic chrome, as you can tell, it's a year old and already. Plastic with chrome. The only solid piece of metal is the engine back up in here, and then you have the AC condenser and all that stuff here. But you figure a 102-inch whip coming out here, either here or on the passenger side. Doing it the crazy Aussie style there. Probably would have worked pretty good, but even at a 102-inch whip, fiberglass or a steel whip or whatever, kind of leaning back, I think it would have worked. But again, it looks weird. I kind of like the incognito-ness of doing what I'm doing. So, and of course, it would be down low. It'd be nice to get up above. Not that there's anything on the interstate in between Denver and Albuquerque to get up and over, but you know, other trucks parked in a truck stop or something like that, shooting some DX or whatever, if need be. But yeah, that's what's going on here. The news from Lake Wilbegon. Anybody ever listen to that PBS radio show, Lake Wilbegon? But That's what I'm doing today, just doing some test fitting. Some people are like, you can't do that on the back of a truck. Yeah, shit you can. And it talks good. And with one antenna, that's all you got to worry about to tune. I'll have to run a dedicated coax in. I'll make it nice and tidy so the road debris and stuff and vibration don't mess with it. And go from there. And then we'll worry about amplification. So, got a couple of different amplifiers in mind. We'll deal with that. I got to get the antenna system dialed in first. Not that this is bad. I think it could be just a little bit better. Well, that's 20 minutes of time that you'll never get back. We'll catch y'all later. Division 2, Charlie Tango 351, or just 351, or UDX 15117, Colorado, out.